Welcome back to episode 2 of the Simone Frequency. I am Trish Simone Wild, your host and the channeler of Simone. Episode 2 focuses on the eclipse portal that we are going into here in September of 2025. It also talks about the relation to some previous and future eclipses. And the major part of the topic is Gaia, Mother Earth's dark night of the soul, and the concept of the dark night of the soul from the macro level as a planet all the way down to the micro individual level. As I'm still learning how to channel and how we're formatting this, it is pieced together from a couple different recording sessions and put into a format as linear as possible to make sense of the content. We also are going to get into some ways to navigate the dark night of the soul and some different ways that we can tap into earth, nature, spirits, and other deities and methods to navigate that. And at this point, we're going to turn it over to the channeled recordings.
And I'm going to actually let myself go into the channeled space right now and let Simone explain it. Simone is the name of the channel persona that's coming through me. And I'm going to move into that space now. I want to go back to the dark night of the soul that Trish had to go through.
Why is Trish able or willing to channel you now rather than sooner in her life?
She had to literally change her life. She had to be willing to change her life in order to do that. Some of that she had help with from climate change and losing everything in multiple hurricanes. But she, at that point, could have taken a different route or a different path. And she chose to continue to take this path that led to being able to channel me. And it was very much a journey that was through the dark night of the soul. This is she had to go through her dark night of the soul. We all have times where we go through the dark night of our soul, which is literally walking through the darkness of our own soul to reconnect as many pieces of our fractured soul as we can, which includes understanding that we are a multidimensional cosmic being and that our soul is having many, many experiences at one time, but just because it's having different experiences doesn't mean we need to be disconnected from it. From a literal perspective, as I explained, the dark night of the soul is to go through your own darkness to retrieve and reconnect with all the fractured parts of yourself outside of the expectations and norms of society. Often, if one does not make it through the dark night of the soul, as the only way is through, they will stay there for the rest of their lifetime. And in some cases, then they will move on from that lifetime into this lifetime. They will opt out from the current lifetime that they're in. Trish is freaking out, and she's saying she is no way encouraging opting out of the lifetime that you are in. She's always, yes, the way out is through. This is my time, not your time. Thank you. So the point of this explanation of what the dark night of the soul is to understand that your collective earth is going through its own dark night of the soul. And then there are many, many people individually or groups of people, geographical, cultural groups of people going through their own collective dark night of the soul. And the way out is through. And I promise you the entire planet will make it out. Planet of Earth, Gaia, is on her way making it out and through. How many people will make it out on the other side of her, with her, and how many people will stay in the dark night of the soul, that is in question.
So is there any good processes to help you process your dark night of the soul?
There's many, many modalities out there and methods. And then the biggest part is being open to realizing that how you understand the world is going to be completely turned upside down. It will be a pole shift. unless you showed up here already magically understanding it. In that case, you probably already had your dark night of the soul and you're out the other side. So if you're watching this with an open heart and an open mind and you're like, I get this, there's a good chance that you made it through your dark night of the soul. You cannot make it through. If you're asking for practical advice, community, you cannot make it through by yourself. Nobody can walk it with you, but they, in every step of the way, but you can have different people, different practitioners, people who can help you walk through different parts of it, depending on what you're going on. In some cases, some of us do need medical prescription technologies. Some of us need more high frequency technology. Some of us need to dance. Some of us need to create. And I say us because Earth beings, humans, are not the only beings to go through dark nights of the soul. It's just really one of the most profound and difficult ones to go through as an Earth human in this period of time.
How many of us struggle with fully owning our creative power and light?
Well, your entire planet struggles with fully owning your creative power because it was suppressed. It was not, and it's still trying to be suppressed, but the thing is, it can no longer be suppressed. This fire is burning. You have a song. I didn't start the fire. It was always burning as the world's been turning. I didn't start the fire. Ask your guides' help for tapping into the frequencies and to activate the cellular data and memory within you. Just ask, be open to it. It's very simple. I mean, if you want to go outside and do a new moon ritual and light a candle and write something down, you can, but also you can just sit here and say, hey, I'm ready to come online. But just be prepared for your life to change upside down. And if it doesn't come, it might actually happen. It's not going to be something that happens overnight. But if you were to look back at your life a year ago in this kind of period when this has been activated, you'll see how far you've come. I follow up. Okay, so the point of the dark night of the soul is for those of you who have already made it through and you're wondering what you do, you turn on your rainbow disco ball beacon light switch and you turn it all the way up and you shine it back into the darkness so that people who are still back there can figure out the way through. And that is what Trish is trying to do right now and why she has allowed me through at this time, despite how much fear she has around doing it. This is her turning on her beacon, having made it through the dark night of the soul and shining her light back through for anybody who can see it. Not everybody is going to see Trish's beacon. Not everybody is going to respond to it. It's not their color. It's not their cup of tea. Everyone else is through it. You need to turn on your beacon, your light, however it works, whether it's much more practical and earthly in nature than what Trish does. However, you can shine your light back through for Earth and its inhabitants to all make it through, because there's a lot of inhabitants beyond just human earthlings that need to make it through this dark night of the soul. Turn it on and you shine it back. And you use the voice and your experiences to help others where and how you can. And that doesn't mean sacrificing your own health and welfare and safety. I know that there is many horrible things happening in the world right now, but just because there's wildflower fields burning all over the world doesn't mean that you don't appreciate the wildflower field right outside your house that's still here and you go dance in it. You must continue to dance in the wildflower field and work from love in order to get through the dark night of the soul.
Okay, I'm going to butcher this, but how does harvest energy around the...
That was the...
Yeah,
I mean, that's human. It's a very human way of literally connecting with the cosmos and the seasons and the times of the year. And the gods or the deity beings that connect with your earth nature and your earth spirits, that's how they were able to easily communicate with humans early on, is through the earth, through the land, through the changing of the seasons. So your earth vibing frequency beings or deities that are connected to the earth and the cosmos are still around in energy and in nature and in different forms. And this is a lovely way to connect with the entities, the spirits, the beings, the fae that are near you and around you in your life every day. There is a lot of merit in those new, old practices of pagan ways before more of the mainstream religion stepped in. And that is a beautiful experience for your earth heart being Gaia to have coming back into practice. And just connecting with your crystalline heart center of your Mother Earth and your fae and your brownies and your spirits right around your home. It's a great way for tuning into what's local and in proximity to you, rather than having to travel to another planet astrally through your sleep realms.
Can you explain what deities are?
What deities are?
Yeah, or how do they? I mean, are they more like spirits?
Well, it depends on who we're referring to. Some deities were more of a fae or an earth-based spirit. Some deities are very, very nature-based spirits, and some of the deities were what you would call extraterrestrial beings that were misunderstood at the time. There's so much more to your world and your planet and the universe and your life and your lifetimes than you have been given permission by yourself to be aware of. You have to give yourself permission to be aware of how good it can get and how much else is out there.
What specific cosmic codes or downloads are available, and can you help us with our creative manifestation?
I'm assuming you don't want it to be explained as a mathematical equation, which I would have to get help on anyway. The best language that I can tell you for this is in a visual. Picture a torch. Made of metal that goes all the way into the crystalline heart of Gaia. It is lit by fire coming from the galactic center all the way through your sun, coming down through your sky is lighting, and it lights it on fire. It is grounded, harnessed energy that can either be a tool or a weapon. Trish likes to say anything can be a tool or a weapon. Everything right now is pure potential. And it is time to decide how you're going to use it. Are you going to shift through, or are you going to stay? Either one is fine in that it will have an outcome. And from the human perspective, things seem very, very dark indeed right now and very hard, and that is valid, and you must feel that and stay in that. While you're holding that potential, you do not have to make any big, rash decisions with it right now. When something happens, that makes you feel a certain way, you do not immediately have to react or respond. It is okay to sit with it for a while and think about how you want to use it. That is my advice. This next clip is going to transition to another explanation from a channeling that happens around the same topic of the eclipse portals and the dark night of the soul of about a week later. And so I'm piecing it together to give it proper context. And you're going to hear me say the words her and she, talking about her dark night of the soul and what she's going through. And the her and she I'm referring to in this next clip is Mother Earth, Gaia's dark night of the soul, and what she is going to do, and referring to a few different eclipses, some previous back in October of 2023, and then moving into the current eclipse portal, which I'm referring to Gaia, Mother Earth. She's still going through her dark night of the soul, and she won't be through it until the eclipse portal of 2027. So that just gives you a little more context for this next clip. So Greg walked in and he was like, I like how you're half dressed. And I said, I'm sorry. Simone showed up to talk to me about the eclipse of August 27th, 2027, because I thought I was missing an eclipse. And I'm like, there's not an eclipse in August. And I looked it up. Eclipse of the century that people are talking about is the solar eclipse of August of 2027. It's supposed to be like a really long eclipse. And Simone's like, yeah, that's when she's going to be through it, the dark night of the soul. And I'm like, well, when did she go in it? And she was like, when you saw the eclipse in Oregon. And I'm like, well, that's not very specific. I need a date. And she goes, I don't know. It was when you were in Oregon and you saw the eclipse and you were almost looking away from the eclipse. And I'm like, all right, I do remember that, but I don't remember when it was. So then I had to go back and look, but I didn't have any of those pictures. Really, having pictures posted on Instagram helps me keep track of shit. So I didn't post the picture of that eclipse, but I do remember the animals looking away from the eclipse. And she's like, well, that's when she started going through it. So I'm scrolling back and I'm like, well, what about during the aurora borealis that came all the way down to Oregon? And Greg took the pictures of me, and she goes, no, that was like, she's still going through it. That's like lighting the way. That's like letting her know, hey, this is how you get through the dark night of the soul. This is where the light is. Keep going. And so she's going to be through her dark night of the soul around the eclipse of August of 2027. And she started going through her dark night of the soul around the October, because I looked it up, as the October 2023 eclipse. Remember, we were living on the farm and it was during the day, and we were looking at the leaves on the ground and the blue patterns. So that's when she started going through the dark night of the soul, and all of these crazy solar flares and cosmic rays and aurora borealises are like kind of lighting her way through the dark night of the soul, while also creating this frequency of like upgrading frequencies of everybody, and not just the humans, but of the plants and the animals and of Gaia herself, her crystalline heart. We're moving into a very heart-centered space, including Gaia's heart-centered space. So she's not going to be through her dark night of the soul until like 2027. So we're still going through it with her in different ways. Some people are very much, they're going through their dark night of the souls along with her, and it's really, really hard, and they're really, really deep in it right now. But people like me, I got through mine around 2021 when I went to that inpatient program, and that was a big piece for me, because mine was really, like, I was in it for years and years. And there were periods of time where I just kind of paused or took like a detour out of it, but like, it was like I detour out of it for a while, but it kind of like I ended up back in the same place. So like, here's the main path through the dark night of the soul, and sometimes we can detour out of it and like end up back here. I'll have to draw this in a picture actually. somebody drew this for me once, and I didn't understand it till now. He didn't get it quite right, but like he told me that. Can I use this, Greg?
Yeah, just use that page.
Huh?
Yeah, whatever.
So this is the dark night of the soul, right? And then this is the path through, and this is like out the dark night of the soul, right? Light shines in and gets in and helps light our way, but also, we can venture out of it, and there's like light over here, but sometimes it puts us back here. Or sometimes we venture out of it and we go like this, we get lost for a while, and we end up like basically right back where we started from. And it doesn't mean that the experiences and the people, like this was like me having my daughter, right? This time wasn't wasted. And in some ways, I shouldn't even say it put me right back where I was. It might have put me back here a little bit. But, we can do amazing things while we're in the dark night of the soul. I had my daughter. I became a teacher. I hit mine like 2008, right? And I don't feel like I really got here until like 2021. But while I was in it, there was important things that I experienced and happened along the way that were part of my soul's contract. And sometimes it wasn't necessarily part of my soul contract. It's something we have free will. We can alter it. We're like, no, I'm going to learn this while I'm here. I'm going to take this detour and see and experience amazing things along the way. It's like the scenic route through your dark night of the soul. We can take the scenic route for the dark night of the soul. But Gaia, she ain't taking the scenic route through the dark night of the soul, man. She's like plowing through it, and it's hurting along the way. But it doesn't mean that amazing things aren't also happening for us and her. So healing isn't always, and very rarely, beautiful. It's like, you ever watch something heal? It's scars and pusses and like scabs have to fall off and shit. It's painful to heal. So, while you're going through your dark night of the soul, you're not just being beat up, but you're actually healing. And so, but healing hurts, and we're all feeling it along the way. Hurricanes, earthquakes, and then her environmentally, how she's been impacted by plastics and uncontrolled poisons and synthetic chemicals and things that fuck up Gaia's immune system, like it fucks up our immune system. We are very much a mirror of Gaia. What's happening within her, and the poisons that seep in through the water and the soils. The poisons also seep into us and our bodies. So there's a very literally embodied physical healing that has to take place. It's not just, when we're talking about this, it's not just mental or emotional, or it's the soul. It's very literally the soil that we're made of. It's the matter. It's the cells. Everything has to heal, and it's brutal process. But the only way out is through, because if you don't heal, you die. You heal or you die. So even though this is painful for Gaia and having a severe effect on us, we all need to be rooting for her and encouraging her and shining our light. Those of us that are through on this side, we need to be able to shine our light back through for Gaia and all the people traveling with her in through the dark night of the soul still. Because we know that, one, we have come here because we agreed to make it through. Our soul, as a soul, we agreed to make it through ahead of time and shine our light back for others as beacons, as way showers, as pillars, as grounding rods, as healers. This was our agreement to shine our light back through for others still going through it, especially Gaia and cheering them on. But we know at the same time where those who don't make it through, those who do choose to opt out or leave the body or disincarnate or die, we're not judging them because we know that they will go back, they'll review their soul contracts, they'll, like John, they'll maybe fulfill them in a different way. John taught other people through his death, and now he's fulfilling his way out through by working with me as a guide. Those who leave us, either accidentally or on purpose or through illness, or because that was part of their agreement that they could work better from the other side, they're still helping shine their light back through. They're still fulfilling their soul contract. So we're not judging people who are in the body anymore. We can grieve them, we can miss them, but we also really do need to recognize that they are not gone. And we can communicate with them still. They're still here. We just have forgotten how. And for a time, that was part of the agreement of Earth. And the people who lived here we wouldn't remember how. But now that time is over. That part of our contract is over. We are supposed to remember now how to reawaken all these senses and connect with the other side and realize that we are not separate from those who have passed on. We are not separate from Source. Unity is not the same. Unity and oneness do not mean the same. We are all different and truly unique in our journeys, and that is how it is supposed to be, because everybody needs something different to make it through. Healing is very, very individualized. It's very unique. That's really the problem with healing in our society, is if you can't test it in a lab, if you can't recreate it, then it must not work, instead of recognizing that healing is a very, very individualized process. It is very, very unique. There are some things that are universal. The cells and how they work and how they break down and how they heal. That is a universal concept. But what cells need to break down and heal is different. Some of them do need more traditional Western medicine mindset, and that has a lot to do with what your DNA remembers, what was literally physically passed down through it in this incarnation. But some of us also need more frequency healing and light healing, because that is something that many cells can respond to, regardless of whatever training they received through being passed down through multiple generations of incarnate matter. Does that make any fucking sense, Greg?
Yeah.
All right, what else needs to be explained here?
I don't know. My finger's about falling off.
Do you have any questions?
I don't.
She's gone anyway, so she peaced out.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, you're done, bye. That was fucking weird. She must have had something else to do. I've never heard. She's like, I'm not gone, I'm just not.
Yeah.
She just peaced out like that. That was crazy. I think I'm getting better at this. And that's episode 2 of the Simone Frequency. Please subscribe, like, and share this podcast. It's on Substack and YouTube Podcasts and Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I'm still figuring out how all that works, but I know that I definitely need some help getting this information out to the people who need to hear it. Thank you for being here and supporting me. If you want to go to my website, you can subscribe to be part of my Simone Seeds community and get more info and inside information. Still figuring out where this is all going to grow, and thanks for being here with me. I'll put all the links and info and transcripts in the details of the podcast, and we'll see you on episode 3.